Say
This
when you're
is
ready.
September 14th, 2019. We are at Taste of Petworth Festival. Would you mind telling me your names?
My name is Reggie Thomas.
My name is Roosevelt.
My name is Michael Vanison.
All right, and we're here to talk about the history of this neighborhood, and I know you guys have a lot to say, so you want to tell me a little bit about your connection to the neighborhood, each of you?
Okay, first of all, my name is Reggie Thomas. I am the president of the Petworth Reunion Committee, and we are a committee of residents who have come back together to Petworth every year to celebrate the Petworth, the area where we grew up at. Our purpose is to continue to bond and hold this community together as we knew it as children. I have here with me member Roosevelt Daniels, member Michael Vanison, and a little bit about where we come from. We grew up here as children. My family migrated here in the 40s. My aunt lived at 516 Shepherd Street. My family moved here in the 60s. I grew up at 725 Shepherd Street. I went to the original Petworth Elementary School. I played on that recreation center around the corner when it wasn't a recreation, it was just a dirt field. And so as we come back to the neighborhood and we see the transformation and the changes, we're just trying to hold on to what we remember and let people know that there was a Petworth before it became this Petworth. I want to let my friends share a little bit about their history in the neighborhood.
Yes, Roosevelt Daniels. I grew up at 729 Shepherd. Also, my family came here in the 40s. We went to Petworth Elementary School, and when the recreation center was dead first, there wasn't nothing there but houses there. Four families lived on that block where the recreation center is now. And after that, it tore the houses down. It became a big old place where we would play at. And actually, it was like a dump for old cars. And we used to play there. So I'm gonna pass it over to Truck right now, and we'll give you some more stuff. We got more stuff covered.
If you caught that or not, my name is Michael Truck Vanison. I'm known around the neighborhood as Truck. I'm one of the original Petworthitonians. I'm a graduate of Petworth Elementary School class of 1971, proudly. Great neighborhood. I have so many stories. I mean, we could stay all day long talking about the stories going on in Petworth. Right in front of there used to be a house. I mean, we go on and on and on. Rock Creek Park was our backyard. That was our playground, Rock Creek Park. Petworth has a lot of history, a lot of the working class neighborhood. I attended Petworth, McFarland, and Roosevelt. Those are neighborhood schools. We didn't ride the bus to school. We walked to school. I mean, at one point, I could walk from the rec center home. I grew up on New Hampshire Avenue, 4,000 block New Hampshire Avenue. My family, we still own the home, still reside there. Family members. There was a time I could walk up the street and I knew everybody in this entire square. You couldn't get away with anything in Petworth. Your mom would know about it before you get home. So, those are one of the memories I have about Petworth. I mean, beautiful neighborhood. I have noticed the transition has been going through. Not only in Petworth, but citywide. But still, that's why we're here to let people know, what Petworth was before it came about this, what we have now.
So we're right here on Upshur, between 9th and 8th Street. Could you tell us what this block used to be like as you remember as a child?
This used to be, behind us used to be a house. The store here across the street used to be a house. We used to come down here and get ice cream. Further down the street, back in the 60s, it was a store called Mort Allen's. It was a 5 and dime store. We all used to go there and buy clothing. At that particular time, that's when they had layaway, because most of our parents worked 2 and 3 jobs. And I don't know what the pay scale was back then, but we had to go there to purchase our clothes at Mort Allen's. I'll let them tell you some more history about some stuff.
Let me just piggyback what you said. This was a house right next door to it was a TV shop. Yeah. I'll never forget my father when our TV went back. Back then we had not fuses, bulbs.
Yeah.
Bulbs. And I used to come down, 25 cents and get a bulb because the bulb had blown. I mean, you had the TV shop, you had the shoe shop, Mr. Phillips. How you doing, Mr. Phillips? I mean, we go on and on and on down. The funeral home has been here since ever. We had Miss Kitty over here. This right here was a beauty salon.
Beauty salon, yeah.
It was a beauty salon and Miss Kitty's shop, and on and on and on.
You know, the beautiful thing about this neighborhood is that it has such a deep and long-running history. Just not Upshur Street. There are some iconic things that were in this neighborhood. There was a carryout on the corner of Georgia Avenue and Shepherd called Goins Carryout. It was a mainstay not only in this neighborhood but throughout the city. People would come all around to go to Miss Goins Carryout. There was Mr. Pete's store right here, convenience store right here.
You have to mention her mumble sauce.
Yeah.
The original mumble sauce from Washington, D.C.
At Goins Carryout. So the transformation of the neighborhood, it's good, but I'm also important is that we remember where it came from, how it started. You know, we have been friends for over 50 years. Not very seldom do you find a community of friends that have stuck together for more than 50 years. So we come back every year to celebrate this. This is the first year we've been down to the Petworth Festival, but our community group is the Petworth Reunion Committee. We meet every year to put on some type of event to bring back some of the old people from the neighborhood so we can still see some of our old friends. And we still do see, as you see, people walking by waving at us because they remember us when we were kids. All right, but we've grown up in this neighborhood, and we still love Petworth.
How'd you all three meet?
I live one door from him.
And he lives around the corner.
Around the corner.
And actually, I was friends with his younger brother. You know, they were friends with my older brother. And all went to Petworth.
Yep.
Like all of walked to school in the morning. We would patrols, you know, social events. We even had a block club
Yes,
on Shepherd Street.
My mother started that block club. Jacqueline Daniel. His mom, his mother, they got us together, and we used to have trips.
That's right.
And go to Hershey Park and stuff like that. That this is gonna blow your mind. One day, we had like 3 buses going to Hershey Park, okay? All the kids from the other neighborhoods started coming down to greet us to go off. Miss Kelly and my mom and Miss Thomas, his mother, said we need to get more buses. At that time, my mother made a phone call, called a couple of guys. Back then, there was bootleggers and stuff. I'm gonna tell you what it was. You know, number writers. They came down, went up there. It was Roy Chuck, DC Transit.
DC Transit.
They went up there, got 3 more buses. The first black operator for DC Transit was Mr. Slate. He drove the Georgia Avenue line. That was back in the 60s. And everybody knew him. That was something remarkable there. And they took our families, mostly the women was involved. They took care of the neighborhood. It wasn't that, you know, if you did something bad, like Truck was saying, any parent can whoop you, wasn't nothing said. And nowadays, they gotta take the parent to the police station and do all this stuff. Back then, any parent that saw you doing something wrong had the right to tear that butt up. Period, you know. And so, a lot of kids and parents and got away from that. But go ahead, Reggie.
But the other thing I wanted to point out that there are still some families that were here from the 50s and the 60s. The Michael's family, the Vanisons, the McCones who live on Shepherd Street. There's the Harris family who lives up on Upshur Street. The White family, the Tates, the Max. And there are still a few families that were here when we grew up as kids. So there's still some connections to the neighborhood. You know, I love to see what's happening, but I'm just also concerned that we don't forget how we got here. And that's what our committee is all about. Just bringing back the people, and we encourage everybody. We encourage anybody to join our committee. We're not exclusive. We're all inclusive. We've met some new members of this community who have seen us on Facebook and asked us who we are. Okay, they came to our cookout 2 weeks ago. So we encourage everybody because we want to keep the theme of Petworth alive. We don't want to think that it started yesterday. It started a long time ago.
Earlier, you were telling me the story about the rec center. I wonder if, obviously, that was one of the first things you said, and it's obviously a significant story. I wonder if you might tell us further detail about that.
Man, the rec center.
The vacant lot.
There were houses there back when my grandmother brought me down. It used to be a supermarket at the end of the rec center, and those were Safeway. It were houses there. The houses went away, and it became a dirt lot. We used to play on that dirt lot as kids. In the 60s, and I want to say in the mid to late 60s, after the riots, is when they built the first recreation center. Okay? There used to be, where that flat surface is there, it used to be a hill.
Big hill.
We used to play football on the hill. So the recreation center came about as a means of having somewhere for us to go play that would be a uniform place under some type of supervision, and that's how the recreation started. Okay? That building that you see there, that's like the third building. Okay, because the first it was just one little brick building that was there on the recreation center, and it was a place where all of us could go, and hang out and play. And like the high store right here on the corner, that was where we would go get our beverages and stuff like that. There's been so many transformations of this neighborhood to show respect that it's kind of hard when you come by. It's kind of hard to say, "Wow, I remember playing there as a kid," So that's kind of how the recreation center came about.
And we used to go to Mr. Frank's around the corner by the alley and get candy, 2 for a penny.
2 for a penny.
And then if you didn't have no money, he would mash you off or give you something, till you come back. There was a store on 7th Street. Used to be called the DGS.
The DGS.
Jack's got it.
Yeah.
All right. Those folks there, they used to have meat. They took care of the neighborhood. They were Jewish people. They took care of the neighborhood. You didn't have to have no money, and they would give you something, and your parents were paying back maybe at the end of the month or whenever they got. When the riots came, their stores don't get burned. Nothing wasn't looted or none of that, because they had a guy named Mr. Tommy. He used to deliver the food to everybody's house, and then you would sign a piece of paper, and that was your bill. It used to be back in the 60s, I was probably about 8, 9 years old, they used to have an ice truck that came through here. Guys would come through on a wagon and brought in blocks of ice. The TV used to cost you a quarter. A quarter, it's like I was probably 7 or 8, and the guys would come around, and my grandmother and them, they used to sign a waiver or whatever it was. They used to sign something. You put a quarter in the TV machine, and it was always black and white. You all run around putting aluminum foil on their antennas, and if you wanted to get color, we would come down here to the hardware store. The hardware store had a film. It was yellow, blue, and green. You would stick that on the face of the black and white TV.
And that's how you got color.
And that's how you got color. And the whole neighborhood around here had that type of TV. Everybody had an insurance company man. It wasn't nothing online. The insurance man would come to your house once a month and you pay him for your health insurance or whatever type of insurance. And you could tell him because he always drove a Cadillac. He had the biggest car, but that's the way it was back then.
And like going back to what you were saying, it was a tight-knit neighborhood, like with the insurance man, with the MPD, the police officer, the fire station. We knew everybody, the detectives in the neighborhood, the officers from the school, Officer Pittman. We go on and on. That's how tight-knit this neighborhood was. You couldn't do anything about somebody else knowing.
And back to the establishments, there was a neighborhood funeral home here. It's no longer there. It was called Latney's Funeral Home. It was on the corner of Georgia and Randolph. It's no longer.
Across the street from Sam Butler.
Sam Butler on the hill.
Wendy's at.
Yeah. There are quite a few establishments that are no longer here. So I remember those things as a child, right? Going up to the Safeway when the Safeway was on Georgia and Randolph, where it is now, but it was just a one-level store. Didn't have the high rides over top of it. But this is a good community to grow up in. I mean, had a lot of fun here. You know, a lot of my friends, you know, grew up here. Some of us have moved away, but we still try to keep a connection to this community because it's important to us.
You know, and we walked everywhere to the skating around Calorama Road. And like I say, Rock Creek Park, that was our playground. Every weekend we was in Rock Creek Park. You know, riding bicycles. And actually, back then, I'm talking about the 60s, we had a little swimming hole in Rock Creek Park.
Because it wasn't no pool.
I wouldn't dare swim there now. You know.
It wasn't no pool.
Right, we didn't have a swimming pool. Right. Upshur wasn't even built. That's why we didn't have a pool.
Yes,
So we go swim in Rock Creek Park, up there under the waterfalls and stuff.
All right, let's see. One thing you were talking about was the riots and how people didn't focus on other buildings. What do you remember about that? The riots.
Basically, the riots was mostly downtown over 14th Street. Certain stores in the neighborhood where the merchant or the owner took care of that neighborhood, people from the neighborhood wouldn't let others touch that store. That's what I do remember. You know, I do remember that.
And so this neighborhood, there was not much going on.
Well, not a lot. Not a lot.
You know, I remember seeing the National Guard going down National Avenue. And actually, the day of the riot or before, when Dr. King got assassinated, I was in 3rd grade. My teacher, Miss Jeter. And she was a white woman. Very beautiful, Miss Jeter. I'll never forget her. And they dismissed class early that day. And we were asking what happened, and I remember the way she explained to me, some people are going to do some bad things, and we want to make sure you all safe. And I remember walking down Shepherd Street towards my house that evening, and how somber everything was. It was just, I mean, you didn't hear, it was like, you know, one of those movies, the trees, you heard nothing. I mean, everyone just walking home. Every time I talk about your chills. It always stuck in my mind about that day. And then the way she explained it to us, you know, some people want to do some bad things, and we want to make sure you all are safe.
You know what I remember about the riot was Goins carryout. When everybody else was shutting down their establishments, she was open. And what gave people a place to go gather and meet. I remember my father walking me down to Goins carryout the night of the assassination when there were police and National Guard going up down Georgia Avenue. There were a few stores that were looted. There used to be they used to call it top value stamps, where you could take green stamps and go in and trade them for merchandise. Okay, that store I do remember getting looted, right? But most of the establishments along Georgia Avenue, like Freddie's Barbershop, Goins Carryout, Mr. Harris's store, Billy's, all those places, they didn't get bothered because they were primarily black-owned places, and the community kind of looked out for each other, like they were saying, to some respect, you know. So we kind of held together.
Because our parents, and sometimes like they would give like your mom them gave that thing that time when all them was together, the St. John's and all that.
The picture you had.
That picture.
The cabaret.
The cabaret.
I wish I'd brought that picture with me. I have a picture of my mom and all our parents at their cabaret. They didn't do anything extravagant, you know, big festival like this, but they used to meet and celebrate, you know, what they accomplished that year. All of them dressed up in their gowns, and I mean, wonderful event. And I have a picture of it. It had to be back in when?
In the 70s, early 70s.
Early 70s, yeah.
But see, if you go back to Petworth Library, I have pictures. There's a history section over there that chronicles Petworth. And it showed you some of the pictures, some of the streets in the 1940s. Because it's in the early 40s, my grandmother came from a little town called Washington, Georgia. And they were some of the first blacks, along with his grandparents, to move to this neighborhood, okay, which was predominantly white, and a lot of Russians lived here. A lot of Russians lived in it, because the house that we grew up in, a Russian family lived there. right? So as time went on, more African Americans started to migrate to this neighborhood, and that's how it kind of came to be, you know. But it just reminds me a lot about a lot of the places that we played at, some of the things that we did, the stores and the merchants that were here when we were kids, you know. That's what reminds me the most of Petworth, you know. Like Trucking was saying, going to the swimming hole. We didn't have a swimming pool, we called it swimming hole, you know, little stuff like that. Miss Mason's carryout up the street, you know. It was so many things that bring back fond memories about this neighborhood.
And also, Petworth expanded. You know, since we was coming up, I mean, it was from Rock Creek Church Road to what, 13th Street?
13th Street.
To down to what, Spring Road? Spring Road.
Yeah.
Up to. On this end, where?
It was Webster Street.
Webster Street. That was Petworth.
That was Petworth.
Petworth now, I mean, has really just, you know, taken on me, really spread out. I mean, all the way up to what, Kennedy Street, past Kennedy Street?
Close to that, boy, with this, yeah.
And we used to, kids, we used to take out bottles. Remember, we used to collect bottles.
Take it right to the hive.
Take it right into the hive. And what we get, a nickel for?
Yep, nickel.
Nickel. You know, and then we used to go up to the Safeway with wagons and carry people groceries home.
Yep.
And some of them people lived a long way because there was only one grocery store.
Yep.
You know, had to go all the way up to Soldiers Home. You know, up that, pull it all the way up that hill.
You know, this was a church right here on this corner.
Yeah, that used to be a church.
That was a church just, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
My next door neighbor attended that church until the day they tore it down.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, since he brought up the churches, there's only two churches that were here when we were kids. That's the First Day of Baptist Church on New Hampshire and Randolph, and the Seventh Day Adventist Church on 7th and Shepherd.
One more.
Annapolis Baptist Church across the street. It used to be an old wooden church.
Right.
Is that on Randolph?
No, 7th and Shepherd.
7th Shepherd. Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I used to attend that
Alfred
church.
Warren's father was the first pastor of that church.
Sure was, right.
Yeah. So there's still some iconic places here in this community.
It's good to see.
How'd you guys keep your relationship up over all these years?
I mean, you'd be. I mean, it's in my family, it's 6 of us. How many of y'all?
It's 8 of us.
It was what?
It was
3, 4 of y'all.
4 of us. You know, but
and
actually,
the rec center, you know, in schools, and our parents, you know, we saw each other every day. During the summer, like say, now kids, you know, go off on extravagant trips. No, we had Rock Creek Park and
go up to Soldiers Home and take your wagon up to Soldiers Home and just to ride down the hill. Go up there just to ride down the hill. That's the only hill we had. We go up to Soldiers Home and start at the top of Soldiers Home up to and ride all the way down here on a wagon.
And that's the importance of our committee, the Petworth Reunion Committee, because it keeps us connected. I'm saying even over 50 years, I'm saying some of us we don't see each other every day, but when we put out the call and say, you know, we're going to do something, or we find out that somebody's sick or ill, we show up.
We show up.
We show up. You know, it's like a movie I saw, and where these people would come together once a year for 50 years. So we kind of pattern ourselves after that. And we have a mission. And our mission is to keep Petworth's memories alive, you know, because a lot of our friends have gone on, you know, even though some of us have progressed and grown and got our own private lives and businesses, we still try to stay humble enough to stay in touch with one another. And that's how we stay connected.
Where would you like to see Petworth be, let's say 5-10 years from now?
Where the kids don't be calling on their parents, and when they get disciplined, they get disciplined. Don't want to see a whole lot of this gun violence, you know. And the structure, the structure, like the streets are better. You know, when we came down, they had streetcar tracks, the train.
Sure did.
Yeah, I remember when they pulled them up out the ground.
Yeah.
You know, it was a long time before they really fixed. They'll patch a little bit here, you know, patch a little bit there. You know, streetcar tracks.
I think Petworth is on the right path.
Yeah.
You know, multicultural. People, I mean, all different cultures are here now. And you know, like I said, when we first moved here, actually that's how I was. So actually, it's coming back to form.
Yeah. You know.
And you know, it's so. I mean, it's just so friendly. It's so. Everybody's smiling at them. It's always been like this in Petworth.
Yeah.
It was a hidden gem for all these years. I mentioned that to somebody. I said, you know what? It's out in the open. Oh, at the zip trip.
Yeah.
I said, oh, it's open now. It's out in the open about Petworth.
The thing I would like to see most happen here is for the incoming residents to remember who was here. You know, everything transformed. Life is about transformation and change. You know, but I'm a strong believer in this, that you can't talk about the present unless you understand the past. You know, and that's all that I like to convince you about Petworth. Let's continue to remember where we came from, continue for the community to grow, you know what I'm saying? And like my friend Truck says, continue to be diverse, because, you know, we have to join with one another to make the whole area better.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback on it, you know, keep it progressive. Just like the rec center. Our families had to fight to get that rec center. You know, back in this started in the 60s. And in like the early 70s. But who? Mayor Washington.
Walter Washington, yes.
Walter Washington.
You know, to get a rec center for us. Because we were the only neighborhood that didn't have a rec center.
Yeah.
So they fought for us to get that, so we're passing it on to you all.
And y'all keep fighting. We love to come back here and see the neighborhood has really changed.
But I would like to say, we had that hill there. When we played football, we had to throw the ball over the hill. So we couldn't see who was coming towards us.
Yeah.
It took all these years to get that hill flat.
Yeah. And we really held that to a resentment, you really want to know. Because for years we played on there and didn't know it was on the other side of that hill when we got over to catch that ball. You know, and
but it was a joy. I mean, I really enjoyed my childhood.
Any last thoughts you want to leave us with?
Oh, just to throw that out there. I was born at Washington Hospital Center, 1958, first year open, and grew up right here in Petworth.
I'm just glad we had this opportunity to share our experiences, because we came here not knowing what this would be like. And the young lady asked us if we would share our history about Petworth because she saw our t-shirts. And I'm just glad we were able to do this so that more people will know that who we are. So when they see us, when we want to do events in the community, they know that we're just not some upstart organization. We're a nonprofit. We give everything back to the community, everything.
And we would like to get in touch with the folks who is giving this. So we just want, you know, that they can see how, not how we do it, but they can get to meet others that grew up with us, you know, and bring us all together, come up with something good, you know. That's what we basically do.
Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.